You walked in thinking you had a chance. You said the right words, planned the perfect moments, and tried hard to matter. Yet she vanished, just after admitting you were amazing. It wasn't timing, it wasn't values. The moment she saw you, she felt something, or didn't. That silence spoke louder than every effort you made. Today, you'll discover why some men ignite desire within seconds and others fade into the background before they even speak. This video isn't about picking up women. It's about understanding how attraction fires off, why it falters, and how to rise from waiting for acceptance to becoming unforgettable. Support the channel, because every subscriber spreads these insights far and wide, helping not just men, but women who need to recognize and respect genuine energy. Let's change lives together. You've been told your whole life that effort equals results, that if you want something or someone, you work for it. You plan the perfect evening. You're thoughtful with your texts. You listen without interrupting. You remember the small things. You show up again and again, believing that one day your consistency will be rewarded with closeness, connection, and chemistry. But when it comes to attraction, none of that effort means what you think it does. You can do everything right, bring flowers, pay the bill, support her dreams, and still find yourself ignored, ghosted, or gently told, "I just don't feel that way about you." It's confusing. It feels unfair. But what you don't realize is that attraction doesn't grow from action. It doesn't blossom because you check all the right boxes. Attraction is not logical. It's instinctual. It happens fast, and it runs deep. Not through what you do, but through what you radiate. You might believe that by doing more, you're increasing your chances. But in reality, you're creating more distance. Because the more you give, before she feels that primal spark, the more she senses something is missing. And what's missing isn't your checklist of gestures. It's the spark, the pull, the charge. That unspoken electricity that doesn't come from trying. It comes from being. She didn't walk away because you failed to meet her expectations. She walked away because your energy didn't create tension. She didn't feel you. Not emotionally, not physically, not instinctively. And when a woman doesn't feel something within seconds, it rarely ever develops later. Because once you're seen as someone who's just trying, you're no longer someone who moves her. You see, people don't fall in love with effort. They fall in love with emotion, the kind that lives in silence, in a glance, in presence. That's the currency of attraction. Your focus on proving your worth, while noble, is the very thing that drains your energy and makes you invisible to her desire. And the more you chase, the more your energy screams, "I need this to work." That neediness, whether it shows through your attention, compliments, or persistence, signals to her that you're not grounded in yourself. And women are incredibly tuned into that. She might not be able to articulate it, but she feels it. That lack of emotional self-possession feels like pressure, not presence. This is why so many men find themselves stuck in a loop, thinking that their kindness, their patience, their attention will eventually be appreciated. But what they're missing is that none of those things can substitute for the feeling of being energetically alive in front of someone. Attraction is not something you earn like a reward. It's something that happens when your presence communicates value without you having to speak a word. When you walk into a room and you're centered, when your eyes don't search for approval, when your energy doesn't beg for attention, she feels something. She doesn't know what it is, but she knows it's rare. And that difference makes her curious. That curiosity becomes interest, and that interest can ignite desire. So if you've ever wondered why she didn't respond, even when you gave her everything, understand this. You gave her everything except what actually counts. You gave her your effort, but not your edge. You gave her your attention, but not your stillness. You gave her your heart, but not your presence. And until you stop performing and start grounding your energy, you will always be seen, but never truly felt. And in love, in passion, in deep attraction, being seen isn't enough. You must be felt. But without that presence, no amount of effort will matter. In fact, effort without that spark can actually push her away faster. She doesn't want to feel obligated. She wants to feel pulled. And that pull can only come when you're not chasing her, but grounded in yourself. When you're not asking her to validate you, but radiating confidence without needing anything from her. That's what flips the switch. That's what shifts her perception of you. Not as a nice guy she appreciates, but as a man she notices and feels. Every woman has a quiet system running in the background of her mind. It's not something she chooses consciously. It's automatic, intuitive, and fast. The moment she meets a man, within seconds, before he even finishes his first sentence, she places him into one of three invisible boxes. These boxes aren't about status, money, or looks. They're about the feeling he gives her without saying a word. It's in his posture, his breath, his eye contact, his calmness, his ease, or lack of it. And once she places you in one of these boxes, it's nearly impossible to move to another. Not because she's stubborn or judgmental, but because energy impressions form fast and settle deep. The first box is rare. This is the box of desire. This is where she places the man who makes her feel something immediate and powerful without trying. She doesn't fully understand it. She couldn't explain it to her friends. But her body knows. Her instinct knows. This man carries something in his presence that disrupts her autopilot. He walks into the room and doesn't announce himself. He doesn't try to impress, entertain, or seek attention. And that stillness, that subtle strength, it creates tension. It makes her curious. He's not mysterious because he's pretending to be. He's mysterious because he's full and whole without needing to speak. That mystery pulls her in like gravity. It's not about games, it's about energy. And his energy says, I'm here, but I'm not here for you. That's the wild card. He's unpredictable, untamed, and grounded in himself. And because she can't fully read him, she wants to understand him. That desire, that instinctive interest, becomes attraction. He didn't earn it. He sparked it. The second box is safer. It's the box of stability. This is where she places the man who is good on paper. He's thoughtful, responsible, attentive, kind. She respects him. She might even introduce him to her parents one day. He has the qualities that build a life, but not the qualities that awaken desire. There's nothing wrong with him. He's safe, reliable, emotionally available. But he doesn't stir anything inside her that feels urgent or magnetic. She might enjoy his company, appreciate his words, and enjoy the comfort he offers. But when she lies in bed, thinking about someone, it's not him. Her body doesn't ache for him. Her thoughts don't drift to him. He's the one she tells herself she should want. But there's a quiet lack of craving. She postpones intimacy, not because she's waiting for the right moment, but because there's no inner push. She respects him, but she doesn't feel moved. He's in the calm zone, not the spark zone. Then there's the third box, the one most painful to be in. It's the box of emotional utility. This is where she places the man who gives endlessly, hoping it'll be enough. He texts first, he checks in, he compliments, he offers help, he listens to her problems. He makes himself available in every way, believing that if he's always there, eventually she'll see how good he is. But what he doesn't realize is that, in trying to prove his worth, he's smothered his edge. His energy no longer feels like that of a man, but of a helper, a cushion, a soft pillow she leans on when things get hard, but never into when passion calls. She never touches him, not because she's cruel, but because he never gave her a reason to feel something primal. He confused presence with servitude. She feels cared for, but not drawn in. He's always there, but never felt. And that makes him invisible in the only way that matters. What's even more painful is that the man in the third box often believes he's doing everything right. He's kind, he's supportive, he's generous. But it's not about actions, it's about perception. His kindness doesn't feel like confidence, it feels like overcompensation. His presence doesn't feel grounded, it feels like he's waiting for permission to be seen. She senses the pressure behind his patience, the longing behind his compliments, the hidden expectation behind every gesture. And all of that, without a word spoken, tells her exactly what she needs to know. He's emotionally available, yes, but she doesn't feel safe in his strength. She feels responsible for his feelings. And that weight kills attraction instantly. Once you're placed in one of these boxes, she rarely reassigns you. Not because she refuses to give people a second chance, but because perception settles fast. Attraction happens early, or it doesn't happen at all. The mistake most men make is believing they can move boxes by doing more, waiting longer, texting sweeter, proving their loyalty. But the box you're placed in isn't based on what you do. It's based on how you show up. And the only way to change your box is not by convincing her, but by transforming your energy so deeply that when you enter a room, you're felt before you're heard. That's when she notices. That's when you shift from background noise to something she can't ignore. Understanding these boxes isn't a tactic. It's not about manipulating women or playing games. It's about becoming aware of what energy you're radiating when you walk into any space. Are you centered in yourself? Or are you scanning the room for approval? Are you overflowing with presence? Or are you hoping to be chosen? These boxes are not judgments. They are reflections. And when you change what you radiate, you change what you attract. You don't need to try harder. You need to become more grounded, more centered, more sure of who you are, without chasing validation. Because the goal isn't to impress her. It's to be so deeply present, so self-possessed, that her instinct lights up before her logic catches up. There's something happening in the first few seconds after you meet her. Something invisible, automatic, and unstoppable. It's not about your words. It's not about your outfit. It's not about how polite you are or whether you brought her flowers. What's happening is instinct. Her subconscious is filtering you, faster than you can imagine, using a system that has nothing to do with logic and everything to do with feeling. Before you finish your hello, she's already felt something, or she hasn't. And that one subtle reaction will shape the entire future of your interaction. She doesn't sit there with a checklist. She doesn't weigh your income or your height or even the cleverness of your jokes in the way you might think. Instead, she feels something in her nervous system, a spark, a pull, or a flat silence. And if she doesn't feel something instantly, it doesn't mean she's shallow, it means she's human. Because attraction isn't chosen, it's triggered. We've been trained to believe that attraction is a slow build. That if you're kind enough, consistent enough, or emotionally available long enough, you'll eventually be noticed. But that belief only works in movies. In real life, people don't fall for potential. They fall for presence. And presence is read on a primal level. She might not be able to explain it to you. She might say, "I don't know why, I just wasn't feeling it." But deep down, the truth is simpler than that. Her body made a decision without asking her mind. She read your posture. She noticed how you held your eye contact, how calm your breathing was, how still or fidgety you were. She felt how you took up space, or shrank from it. She absorbed the silent energy you were radiating. And it was that, not your words, not your effort, not your intentions, that told her everything she needed to know about you. This instinctual filtering system was shaped by thousands of years of evolution. It's not a flaw in her thinking. It's a survival mechanism. Women are biologically tuned to detect energy, safety, strength, unpredictability, detachment, confidence. These are signals the primal brain locks onto. Not because she's looking for someone to protect her from lions anymore, but because her DNA still remembers what it means to be drawn toward the powerful. If your energy feels needy, frantic, or overeager, it doesn't matter how much value you believe you bring. You're already invisible to the part of her brain that decides whether you matter. Attraction is not built, it's felt. And the faster you accept that, the faster you stop wasting your time trying to build chemistry where there is none. This is why trying harder never works. When a man senses that a woman isn't responding to him, his instinct is to increase the effort. He sends more thoughtful messages. He buys more gifts. He plans better dates. He thinks, maybe if I just show her how serious I am, she'll realize I'm worth it. But the truth is, every bit of that effort is communicating something else entirely. It's showing her that you don't know how attraction actually works, that you're trying to convince her instead of inspire her. And when a woman feels that you're trying to win her over, she doesn't feel desired. She feels pressured. She feels responsible. And worst of all, she feels nothing. Because pressure kills presence. And without presence, there is no pull. The men who light up her instincts don't have to try hard. They don't have to over-communicate. They don't have to explain who they are. They carry it. They move with a quiet strength that speaks louder than their words. They hold space. They breathe slowly. They're aware of their body, their environment, and themselves. And all of that creates a kind of gravity, an invisible force that makes her want to lean in. Not because she understands it, but because she feels it. That feeling bypasses every checklist. It cuts through logic. It's deeper than thought. It's desire. If you've ever had a woman say, "You're amazing, but I just don't feel that way about you," you've experienced this filter firsthand. It's not that she didn't appreciate your effort. It's that your energy didn't move her. You were emotionally present, yes, but you weren't felt. And that's the only difference that matters. You weren't dangerous. You weren't unpredictable. You weren't electric. You were kind. You were patient. You were respectful. But you didn't create that pull, that flicker, that urgency, that I don't know what this is, but I want more. And here's the truth. If you don't generate that pull in the beginning, no amount of good intentions will manufacture it later. Women don't gradually fall into desire. They either feel it right away or they never really do. You don't climb your way up the ladder of attraction by being more generous, more polite, or more present. You rise when your energy shifts, when your internal state changes, when you stop trying to be chosen and start showing up like someone who doesn't need to be. The problem isn't what you do. It's what you're silently asking for while you're doing it. Every good morning text, every compliment, every time you check in or offer help or pay for the meal. What you might not realize is that your energy is saying, see me, choose me, validate me. And when that energy is consistent, it becomes heavy, not to you, but to her. She feels it before she can even process it. What started as kind gestures begin to carry the weight of unspoken need. And that need is what drains your presence of its power. Because when your kindness is not selective, when it's poured out freely without restraint, it starts to feel less like a gift and more like a tactic. And women are incredibly attuned to this. They may not be able to explain it, but they know something feels off, something feels forced, and that's the beginning of disconnection. True kindness is powerful, but only when it is given from a place of internal fullness. When it's expressed with clarity, calm, and choice, not urgency. When you give because it aligns with your values, because you are grounded in your worth, not because you're hoping to win her attention, it lands differently. A compliment from a centered man who doesn't need a response is powerful. A compliment from a man who watches her face for a reaction is draining. The difference isn't in the words, it's in the energy. And energy doesn't lie. That's what she's reading. When your kindness has no boundaries, no selectivity, it dilutes your presence. You become too available, too eager, too ready to serve. And instead of seeing you as strong and self-possessed, she starts to see you as emotionally overexposed. You're no longer a man. You're a provider of approval, a dispenser of comfort, a safety net she never asked for. She may take the gifts. She may smile at the messages. She may even express gratitude. But underneath all of that politeness is the truth she won't say out loud. She doesn't feel drawn to you, because comfort isn't chemistry, consistency isn't craving, and kindness, when it's unearned and endless, feels less like love and more like strategy. If you keep giving without being asked, you're not generous. You're self-abandoning. You're sacrificing without being chosen. And over time, this not only wears down your own self-respect, but it teaches her to see you as someone who's always there. And people don't desire what they can always have. The more you give away without boundaries, the less mystery you carry. And without mystery, there's no pull, no tension, no spark. What you think is being good to her is, in her nervous system, you giving yourself away before she even wanted you. That doesn't make her feel lucky. It makes her feel burdened. So stop believing that giving more will make her feel more. It won't. Because the feeling she's waiting for isn't triggered by kindness. It's triggered by presence. Kindness can amplify desire, yes, but only when it comes after attraction, not before. You must be felt before you are appreciated. You must be noticed before you are adored. And the moment you reverse that order, trying to earn your way into her emotions by proving your value, you've already lost your position. The answer isn't to stop being kind. The answer is to stop giving from emptiness. To stop handing out your attention, your time, your energy, as if it will eventually create desire where there is none. Start giving with clarity. Give when it feels aligned. Give without needing anything back. Let your kindness come from stillness, not from a strategy. When you do that, she'll feel the difference. She'll feel that your center isn't dependent on her response, and that shift, from being emotionally dependent to being emotionally grounded, changes everything. Because when you give from strength, she doesn't feel pressure, she feels presence. When you hold back sometimes, when you give intentionally, when you show restraint, you carry weight, you create contrast, and that contrast is what makes kindness unforgettable. Not the size of your gestures, but the confidence behind them. Kindness wrapped in emotional strength is rare. It's masculine, it's magnetic, it doesn't apologize for existing, it doesn't shrink, it doesn't beg, it radiates. And when you begin to carry that kind of energy, you no longer have to chase anything. You simply become someone she notices, because she feels something she can't explain and doesn't want to lose. You don't need better lines. You need better energy. You don't need her to choose you. You need her energy to recognize you. Stop chasing approval. Stop performing who you think she wants. Stand firmly in your presence. Let your quiet confidence spark desire, or reveal that what's there isn't real. Armed with that clarity, nothing remains accidental. You'll stand differently, speak differently, and be felt without trying.